Welcome to the Sydney Winston channel. I'm Sydney Winston. You might not know this, but I am a big proponent of Israel's annexation of Judea and Samaria. I am also a big proponent of having the country of Jordan recognized as the new country of Palestine for the Arabs. And I also am a proponent for getting rid of everybody in Israel who hates Israel. You hate Israel and you're not born there, or you commit a crime against Israel and you have Palestine flags all over your bedroom and you're screaming, from the river to the sea, whatever, that type of stuff. You go live in Palestine, you go live in Jordan. That's what I'm a big proponent of. Now, to get to today's program, I am going to start out with Mosab. Mosab Hassan Yousef. He's this guy here. He's this guy here on the left. And he is going to be in conversation with somebody on the Stand Tall Israel YouTube channel. I highly recommend them. Go give them a sub and listen to all this stuff. So let's get into it.
There's two world wars going on in this world right now. Russia and Ukraine and Gaza. When the Russia-Ukrainian war broke out, millions of Ukrainians were welcomed by countries across Europe. Millions of refugees came into Poland, Moldova, Germany. These are people who don't share the same language, religion, faith, but they were welcome. We're way over a year of the Gaza war. Could you please help us understand why the vast majority of Arab countries that surround Gaza have yet to open their door to one woman, one child, to the refugees who share the same language, the same faith, the same God, the same prophet? Where is the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the saving of life?
Well, before he answers, I'm going to ask you, the viewers, how is it that over 2.5 years of war, of killing, of noise and bombs and blood and just horror, that not one Gazan civilian was allowed to leave the war zone? Not one. And no one, not even Greta Thunberg, came to rescue them. You'd think Greta Thunberg would come on her flotillas to Gaza to get to Egypt so they could open up the gates between Egypt and Gaza so that the Gazans who are in the war zone can leave the war zone and live a little longer. So I apologize to Mosab, but let's carry on.
Because many of them depend on the victim. They need the victim. They need to sacrifice more people. If they end the angry cause, many people will be out of business, like right away.
Mm-hmm.
Ayatollah depends on the Palestinian or the Arab suffering, using Palestine as a device to destabilize the region. But behind him, yes, there is Russia. And behind him, yes, there is China. With due respect, these people haven't condemned Hamas since the beginning of the war. Every time they opposed condemning Hamas in the Security Council. Believe it or not, at the beginning of the war, I was sitting on the Security Council with the Israeli delegation, just right next to Russia and China, watching what they were doing at the United Nations. It's insanity. They know what Hamas is. And it was not coincidental that October 7 was Putin's birthday. Hamas gave him a birthday gift to distract all the eyes from Ukraine. Okay, I don't believe in conspiracy theories.
Okay. It's just a matter of fact checking, that's all. Let's see. When is Putin's birthday? When is Putin's birthday? October 7th. Look at that. And Hassan, Mosab is saying that it's no coincidence. Interesting. My ears are just perking up now. Jeez. No coincidence. Okay. I like it.
But what a coincidence.
Yeah.
So now the thing is,
what?
the superpowers have been gambling of children's blood.
Uh-huh.
And we must break the vicious cycle of this violence.
Mm-hmm.
The Arab countries, they don't care. They're all corrupt leadership. The Saudi Arabia, people now say Saudi Arabia, even the Arab Emirates. When I saw my Jewish friends going to Dubai, I was like, what are you doing? Don't go there. This is everybody who tells me I go to Dubai or Abu Dhabi, I tell them don't go. Come back. And they think it's just normal. And we saw what happened a few days ago. I'm not saying that this should make us afraid, because we want to build bridges with the Arab world. And I encourage that. But we are surrounded by lots of enemies. These countries, you go freely to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I cannot go. I cannot go to any Muslim country, to any Arab country. For the past 15 years, I cannot go anywhere. So they don't want to end the conflict. I was yelling out loud from the beginning of the war. I said, open the border. Let the most vulnerable, children, women, civilians, go through a safe passage into Egypt, into Sinai. If it was up to me, in fact, I would compensate all the Gazans, give them the freedom to take a little bit of money and go and start over somewhere else, far away from there, if they don't want to coexist with Israel, if they don't want to live peacefully, if they want to keep causing trouble. And that goes also for the people of the West Bank. And by the way, some of the Arab communities within Israel, if they don't want to respect Israel's right to exist, then go somewhere else. I'm willing to start a fund to buy their property and overpay them for that. But then I would be accused of ethnic cleansing. The thing is, I don't care, because I am not under the influence of what's so-called international law. There is no such thing. This law was meant to serve the powerful. And I don't want the children to continue dying because of the sins and the burden of their forefathers. So yeah, they don't want to take the children. They don't want to solve the situation. You know what's in common between all Hamas leaders from Haniya to Sinwar and the rest, Zahar, Rantisi, all these people, and Yasser Arafat? All of them were born Egyptians. Sinwar's birth certificate says on it, Egyptian. Haniya, Egyptian. All of them. And in the West Bank, Jordanians. So they don't want to get along. And they were given the opportunity to self-governing, and they failed terribly. Instead of building a society, building a nation, they smuggled weapons. And we saw what happened on October 7. And you and I, we know that Israel cannot afford giving them a state. So they can smuggle more weapons and cause more trouble. This is everything that they can do, trouble and violence. So with that said, there has to be a deal with the Arab world. Egypt, the United States, instead of funding the thugs, Palestinian thugs, billions of dollars, they can rent a much bigger land than Gaza, push the border into Sinai, which basically was the land of Israel given back to Egypt for peace, no? It was a big mistake.
Big mistake.
So practically,
I agree.
there has to be a solution. And maybe, I don't know,
Huge.
we could be heading to World War III. We could be heading to much bigger war. Hopefully not. But if there is going to be a moment, I don't know. Gaza, this is a nightmare. It's a nightmare for everybody. And by the way, for the next 15 years, it's going to take them only to remove the rubble.
Bullshit.
Just for your information, it's going to be a disaster. Disease is taking over. Don't think, when I said from the beginning of the war, and I don't know where that I channeled, I said, wait for the wrath of God. See God in action. And God is not just speaking through a human weapon. The consequences of October 7 and celebrating what happened on October 7 and the thousands of a fallen society.
I don't want to be the one to tell you.
We saw them on the streets. Today they are paying the price. And of course the international law can come and teach me and say this is collective punishment. Go away. They are dealing with what they have created. I lived among these people half of my life. And I lived among the Jewish people the other half. I understand this culture, I understand that culture. One of them is the death culture. And they need to realize, sooner or later, that Israel is going nowhere, that God is real, and the false narrative is not going to give them any satisfaction.
Yeah, why would he say something like that? What has that got to do with reality on the ground at all? What an idiot. I mean, not an idiot, but literally, it serves absolutely no purpose for him to have said that. God is real. It's like now he's lost all credit. He's lost a lot of credibility with me.
So let's see how this is going to develop. But if it was up to me, at some point, I'm sorry for the long answer. I was so frustrated. I didn't know what to do. And I was appealing to everybody, to the United Nations, to the Egyptian president, telling everybody, open the border. When nobody answered, I put a reward. At that time, it was big money for me. It was $10,000 to any Egyptian from the Rafah side of the border who take a bulldozer and break the fence. And I promised them, if you do that, I'm going to pay you $10,000 and get you out to safety. This is just out of frustration that I wanted the most vulnerable civilians to get out. Just go. Go and never come back. It's too much pain, too much suffering. They cannot understand, they cannot coexist, and I don't know how I'm going to fix their mentality.
You know,
Okay, so that was Mosab. The next guy coming up is Dr. Kedar, also on Stand Tall Israel. Dr. Mordechai Kedar. Sorry. He is expert on the Arabs. Is Israeli, Jewish, but speaks fluent Arabic, and he usually explains that side of the story. And I do trust everything he says based on everything he has said before. So here goes.
The state of Israel has absolutely no, I would describe it as the nation, and anyway,
And I hate these coming up, so I want
volcano. Israel, if you look at the big map, we are located in the heart of the Middle East. We are actually in the center of the Arab and the Islamic world, surrounded by this ocean of people who, in most cases, are hostile to Israel. And this is the big challenge of surviving in this area, because just to compare it to America, to the United States of America, who are the neighbors? From the north is the Canadians, to the south is the Mexicans, to the east are the Dolphins, and to the west is the Barracudas, okay? What do we have as neighbors? From the north, Hezbollah, to the west, southwest, Hamas, in the east, Jordan, and beyond it is Iran, Iraq, ISIS, remember? And in the west, you have Libya, with all the atrocities of this country, Sudan, Yemen, all these failing states which became bloodbaths through the, let's say, recent years. And this is our neighbors, this is a neighborhood which we try to be here as a small nation, a sliver of the population of the Middle East, yet believes in its right to this place, yet believes in the world which should support Israel as it did in the past, yet we fight in order to survive on our forefathers' land, in order to revive our culture after 2,000 years of exile. Current issues in the Middle East actually are derivatives of this fact that we are trying to survive on our forefathers' land while our neighbors don't like us. They don't want us here. They want to get rid of us altogether. And the occupation is not something which happened in 1967. Occupation is what happened in 1948, means this, when the state was established. Current issues, if we look at the picture of the Middle East, we struggled. The Iranian octopus, which was built through the last, let's say, 40 years, including Iran is the head of the octopus, and the tentacles were in Lebanon, Hezbollah, Syria, the Assad regime which supported Iran, Iraq, which was taken by Iran, Yemen, the Houthis, who are devastating the world trade, maritime traffic, Hamas, of course, and all these organizations were trained by Iran, armed by Iran, sponsored by Iran and by Iran's ally, Qatar, which is the biggest hater of the West in general, the United States in particular, and Israel as well. They make face as if they are nice by hosting an American airbase in Qatar named Udeid. Yet, if you listen half an hour only to Al Jazeera in Arabic, you cannot escape the vicious messages against the West in general, against America, which is the head of the problem. Israel is the long arm of America. Islam actually should fight against these temporary countries like the United States and Israel. This is the impression which you get from this channel, which is very influential, especially in the Arab world. Ladies and gentlemen, with a vicious war which cost the lives of hundreds of Israeli soldiers and hundreds more civilians, very very high price, which a small nation can pay. But the Iranian octopus is almost totally toppled. Hezbollah begs for its life. Syria is gone. Hamas on its way to be gone. Iraq turned its back to Iran. The only or the last Mohican who remained to fight for Iran are the Houthis. Iran is exposed after Israel took care of the air defense of Iran. And now every country can do in Iran almost whatever any country wants to do that. Iran is exposed. And they know that they are vulnerable and they are very cautious. And recently, since Trump was elected in the United States, they tried to make nice face in order to convince people in America who are naive enough to believe them or to fall in the trap of the Iranian lies to think that they might be peaceful solution to, first of all, the nuclear program, then the expansionism of Iran, which was demonstrated during the recent years. And the scheme which it built is the Shi'i side of Islam. There is another side in Islam, the Sunni side, which is no less problem. What do we have in the Sunni side? We have, first of all, Hamas. Although they were Sunnis, they were supported by Iran. We have ISIS today governing Syria. Mohammed al-Shara, the president of Syria, his nickname is Al-Julani, is a graduate of ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and now he has a state. Oops, I thought we got rid of ISIS in 2018, only to find that ISIS today has a legitimate state on the ground, means on the maps, recognized by the world. People are coming to meet him. Media channels are interviewing him. He is going around the world in order to collect support, although a ransom of, I think it was $10 million was on his head by the CIA, okay? And today he's running a state, okay? So this is, all, at least potentially, it is a problem. Don't forget that he is backed by Turkey, and Turkey is governed by Erdogan, who is a Muslim Brotherhood president. So we more or less got rid of the Iranian scheme in order to find that there is another one from the Sunni side emerging in order to take the scene over. So here we are. It's not the one is the good one, the bad is the bad one. It are two sides of the same radical Islamic problem. One is called Shi'i, one is called Sunni. The goal is more or less the shared. To get rid of the West, to get rid of Israel. So we have to open our eyes and understand current issues. The question is, what pushes them? Because without understanding what pushes them, what motivates them, we cannot understand current issues. In order to understand this, we have to penetrate their mindset. How those radical Muslims, and here a very important comment, not all Muslims are radicals. There are many, I would even say most of them are not radical. The Emirates are run by a group which does not share the radical view of Islam. Other countries, Morocco, Egypt, Jordan, they don't share the radical way of thinking. So for them, Israel could be tolerated when it comes to Jordan and Egypt, and Israel could be a partner when it comes to the Emirates and Morocco and Bahrain. So having said that, they are not the problem. The problem is the radical side of Islam, which fights against us and against most of us here in this hall. And the question is why? What the heck do they have against us? Why do they fight in a way which can cause destruction, as we see in Gaza, and they still continue? They don't give up, although they know that the price is tremendous. The question is
why. The answer is because Islam is cancer, and cancer consumes its host until the host is dead, and then the cancer dies. That's Islam.
What motivates them? Their worldview of Jews and Christians, by the way, this is more or less the same, is built from some layers. The most basic layer is the religious one. According to their interpretation of Islam, Islam came to the world to replace Christianity and Judaism. They took the theory of replacement one step forward, and now Islam came to the world to replace Christianity and Judaism. Both religions, Judaism and Christianity, are null and void. Din batil, as they say in Arabic. Is somebody here speaks Arabic? Not too many. Well, Arabic is the key. Judaism and Christianity are null and void. Din batil means religion of falsehood, while only Islam is the real religion, din haq. So why should we have a Jewish state if Judaism doesn't exist anymore? By the way, the second question is about Christian states. Why do they need them? Christianity doesn't mean anything, since Islam came to the world to replace Christianity and Judaism. So this is the first layer. The second layer is the territorial issue. This land, the land of Israel, is actually an Islamic land. Why? Because once Muslims occupied this country, and any country in the world has only one-way ticket to enter the world of Islam and not to get out. This is why, by the way, they claim that Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, should return to be Islamic because once it was under the Islamic rule. Sicily, the island in the southern part of Italy, should return to be Islamic. Large parts of the Balkans, all the way north to the gates of Vienna, where they were defeated on September 11, 1683. Now you know why September 11 was chosen in New York and Washington. And any land which was once under the Islamic rule should return to be Islamic, including this country as well. So who came? Lord Balfour, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Britain 100 years ago, and he, evangelical Anglican Christian, he gives this land to the Jews. Excuse me? Does it land belongs to him? This is an Islamic land. How come the British Minister of Foreign Affairs, evangelical Christian, gives this land to the Jews? He doesn't own it and they don't deserve it. This is what they say. Later, even worse, in San Remo, Italy, April 1920, San Remo Convention of the League of Nations decides to adopt the Balfour Declaration and to turn it into a legal international binding document. Who is voting for this? Russia? Japan? Who the heck gave this country to Russia and Japan to vote to give it to the Jews? This is a conspiracy against Islam. So, and recently, some years ago, President Trump recognizes Jerusalem to be the capital of the state of Israel. Who gave him this city to recognize it as the capital of the Jews? Does it belong to Trump? This is the question which they raise. So this country belongs to Islam. No way to take it out from the Islamic world and to give it to the Jews. Third layer, Jews even are not a nation. Jews are communities which belong to all the nations in the world. An American Jew is an American, and he's Jew. He happened to be Jewish, just like other Americans who are Christian or Muslims or whatever they are. He's an American. A Jew in Iraq is an Iraqi Arab who happened to be Jewish, just like many Iraqi Arabs who are Christians, Yazidis, Sabais, Mandays, or Muslims. A Jew in Russia is a Russian national who happened to be Jewish, just like other Russians who are Christian or whatever they are, and so forth. Jews are not a nation. Jews are communities which belong to all the nations in the world. So since there is no Jewish nation, why do we need a Jewish state? Fourth problem is the Jews, anyway, just like Christians, should live under the yoke of Islam as dhimmis. People who have to live under the Sharia law according to the rules of Jews and Christians who live under the Islamic rule. For example, a Jew and a Christian is not allowed to ride a horse, only a donkey, in order to belittle him. The Jewish home should be lower than his Muslim neighbor, the same with Christians. Synagogue or church should be lower than the mosque, because to show who is higher and who is lower. A Jew and a Christian should walk in the street, in the sewage canal, which is in the middle of the street. And you know, in the Middle Ages, they didn't have sewage under the buildings and under the streets. Everything which came out from the households was in the street, and not only from the kitchens. And this is the sewage canal in which Jews and Christians should walk. Muslims, of course, are walking on the sidewalk. Jews, when they walk in the street, have to be marked with yellow patch or yellow scarf or yellow hat. Christians, purple patch, purple scarf or purple hat. And this didn't start in Germany of the 30s and 40s. It started in Baghdad of the 9th century. And this is when was invented. This yellow patch, and for Christians, the purple patch. Why? Because Jews and Christians are impure, and Muslims should refrain from touching them in the street, so they have to be marked. Jews and Christians are not allowed to sell wine because Muslims might buy it and drink it. Christians cannot sell pork from the same reason. Jews and Christians should pay the jizya, head tax, every month. Come to the tax collector and crawl from the door all the way to the collector on the ground, get a kick after they give the jizya from their hand and run away from the room. Why? Because there is a verse in the Quran which says that Jews and Christians, means the people of the book, should pay the jizya from their hand while they are humiliated. And in order to implement it, literally, this was the practice in some places, in some times. And more, you can read much more about the Dhimitude in Bat Yaor's book, Islam and Dhimitude. Bat Yaor, you know, is a pen name of a Jewish lady named Giselle Littman. She was born in Egypt, in Alexandria, and therefore her pen name is Bat Yaor. Bat Yaor in Hebrew means the daughter of the Nile. And she is a worldwide expert about Islam. She speaks Arabic, she reads Arabic, and her books are the best in order to learn what goes around in the mindset of these people. And I highly recommend this book, Islam and Dhimitude, and any other book written by Bat Yaor, B-A-T, Yaor, Y-E-O-R. Ladies and gentlemen, since Jews and Christians have to live in such terms under Islam, they have no right to any state, police, sovereignty, government, army, police, or any other manifestation of independence and sovereignty. This is the outcome, this is the bottom line of the laws of the Dhimma. So, if you combine all these things together, the state of Israel has absolutely no right to exist because of the religion. Jewish religion and Christian is null and void. The land is Islamic. Jews are not a nation. And anyway, they have to live under the yoke of Islam. What happened since the last quarter of the 19th century? Jews are coming with big numbers to this country with the help of the West, Christianity, and they establish here the mandate under the British Christian kingdom. And then they declare a statehood, 1948. They occupy the country. Later in 1967, they occupy Jerusalem. And the worst comes afterwards when Jews dare to pray on the Temple Mount. And this is actually the culmination of this process, which actually is viewed by them as resurrection of Judaism after it was cancelled by Islam. And this is something which they cannot fathom, because this is a theological threat on the mere existence of Islam. And this is the conspiracy of Judaism and Christianity against Islam. And they actually fight this jihad against us in order to save Islam, according to their interpretation, to save Islam from the danger of the returning of Judaism to life in the form of a state, army, police, ministries, and relations with other countries in the world, especially Christian countries. And this is what motivates them, to the degree that they don't care about their own people who get killed, because anyway they go to be shaheeds, martyrs in heaven, to enjoy all the goodies of heaven. So if they are killed, nothing really happened. Anyway, they are alive. There is a verse in the Quran which says, don't consider those who got killed for Allah as dead people. No, they are alive. Allah caters for them. This is a verse in the Quran. So they're not really dead. So even they announced that 40,000, I don't know how many already, in Gaza got killed. This is what they give for external consumption, because this the world will undermine Israel, will be angry about Israel. For them, it's okay. The Quran says in other place, "Aqtulun wa tuqtalun," in the war. You kill and you get killed. Nothing really special happened. So this is how they relate to this war against Israel, which is a war, religious war, holy war, jihad, in order to save Islam from the danger of the returning of Judaism to life with the support of the Christian world. And now the question is, our question. What do we do with this? Our question. What do we do with this? Do we succumb to this mindset? Do we surrender? Do we accept it? Or do we fight? Do we resist? And the answer, actually, is given us by Israel. We fight. We resist. We'll show them. But alone, it is very hard. We depend on other nations. We depend especially on the Christian world in order to save both of us. Because if Israel fails in this war in front of the jihad, the distance to Europe is what? 3 hours flight? This is when it comes to Europe. There will be so much encouraged that the masses of Muslims which already migrated to Europe will erupt because they can. And today, unfortunately, governments in Europe, especially Western Europe, are shaking and shivering because of this migration. In France already, we had cases in which people slaughtered at least twice. And slaughtering is the standard way how to get rid of your enemy. And we saw it with ISIS. And we saw the ISIS fighters in Paris 2015, already almost 10 years ago, November, in the big attack on the Bataclan nightclub and the stadium. We saw what happened in the Charlie Hebdo, the newspaper. We saw the train station in Madrid. We saw the London, July. It's not theory anymore. It is the reality. And the Europeans are petrified because they know that they are vulnerable, because they are penetrated by the jihad, by the hijrah jihad, means the migration jihad. And just for those who do not know, jihad is not necessarily a belligerent jihad, a military jihad. It's not necessarily. Jihad has many facets. Al Jazeera, the Qatari channel, is defined by Qaradawi as media jihad. Qaradawi, the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, who passed away a few years ago, who was living in Qatar after he ran away from Egypt, and he had in Al Jazeera every single week, a whole hour, to spread the poison of the jihad all over the world through Al Jazeera. He defined Al Jazeera as a media jihad and was proud of it. Because if you promote the causes of jihad through the media, this is a media jihad. Economic jihad is the BDS, boycott, the divestment and sanctions against Israel. This is an economic jihad. And economic jihad is indivisible part of the jihad. Not from today. Already in the ancient times of Islam, economic jihad was part of the jihad. I'll give you how it works. In the hadith, in the oral tradition, there's a question. If somebody who goes to the jihad, goes to the land of jihad, and somebody hosts him to give him food, to give him a shelter for the night, give him a shower and a bed to sleep for the night, and food to eat, what is the percentage of the reward which the host gets? So there is a debate between a quarter and a third of the jihad. Of the reward which the jihadist get, the host is getting also, because feeding him, washing him, giving him a place to sleep is part of the jihad. Otherwise he cannot fight. So the host actually takes part in the jihad between quarter and third. And what if he gives him also his horse in order to get to the jihad land faster and fresher? It's between third and a half. Means support to the jihadist is part of the jihad, indivisible part of the jihad. Ladies and gentlemen, burning churches is the arson jihad in France, in other places. And there are some very famous churches which were burned recently. Arson jihad, birth jihad, taking children in order to take the places. Gaddafi said we can take Europe without one shot. With the Islamic womb, it's enough. It will take some more time, so what? There is a verse in the Quran which says, Inna Allah ma'a sabirin. Allah is with those who have patience, and they have a lot of patience. And there are many more facets of jihad, like academic jihad, to invest in research centers, to buy politicians, to buy academicians as they do. Only recently, it was revealed that Qatar invested like $4 billion in, I think, the last 10 years in American universities. Show me one academia man, who will say something against Qatar if he's being sponsored, he or his research center or his salary. Ladies and gentlemen, democracy, which allows vicious countries like Qatar to infiltrate into the system, sometimes turns into a suicidal democracy. And I'm not sure that those who designed democracy meant to allow vicious countries like Qatar, Iran, or others to penetrate the system in order to turn it into something as far as could be from democracy. Because this is their goal, to turn us all into Dar el-Islam, means the house of Islam. If it goes by good means, like money, let it be. If it doesn't work, let's fight. And this is what we are facing today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the same ditch. We're in the same fight. We're in the same war. United, we will survive. Divided, we will all. Thank you so much.
All right. So I hope that was informing, because everything that he said, I've heard before. So it almost like I've heard that speech, the whole speech before. Now, as you may or may not know, I am a huge proponent of Israel annexing Judea and Samaria. The next video up is about that exactly. The Ayn Rand Center UK, I follow these guys. You might not be familiar with them, but if you're not, just listen along. They talk about the Israeli plan to annex the West Bank, which I thought should have been done as soon as the Ayatollah came to Iran. I think Israel should have annexed the West Bank right then and there.
What has been dubbed as a clandestine operation of Israeli annexation of the West Bank. I always love when they use difficult words so I can expand my vocabulary. Clandestine means like sort of secret, and something is happening. Specifically, Israel Katz, the Israeli foreign minister, and Bezalel Smotrich, the Israeli finance minister, as well as, and here is the full title, Minister in the Ministry of Defense with responsibility for civilian affairs in the West Bank. It's a long title, basically means something like a governor for West Bank or for Judea and Samaria. We'll talk about specifically what that means, and we'll also talk about specifically what is happening. Basically, yeah, certain amount of expansion, or what I would much more appropriately call deregulation when it comes to Israelis or anybody for that matter buying property in the West Bank. Welcome to the Daily Objective. Joining me today is Jonathan Deon, and Jonathan, I'll expand a little bit of what exactly is happening, but anything you'd like to say before we start?
Settlement is great, and new cities and new towns is a beautiful thing, and it's very, very positive.
I can say what exactly is happening. We have a quote from the joint statement from the two ministers. They've said the decisions they've made are intended to remove decades-old barriers, repeal discriminatory Jordanian legislation, and enable accelerated development of the settlement on the ground. Apparently some of the legislation is coming back to Jordanian era, so going back like 60 years when Jordan had sovereignty over the West Bank. And so in practice, what is happening is now land registry in the West Bank will be open to public, which apparently was classified before, so you couldn't find out who owns this building or who owns this land, which was surprising to me to find out, because in most I don't know if most developed countries, in my country, land registry is of course open. You can find out if a certain house, a certain land is owned by the state or by specific people, or who specifically even owns all of it. And it's also generally a very important part of any developed country to know who owns what property, so you know how to deal with people. Secondly, there was law repeal. Specifically, the law said that non-Muslims couldn't buy property in the West Bank, or specifically in the Area A. They could only do it through like registered companies with the land registry. And thirdly, requirement for transaction licenses from land registration offices have been canceled. So another like bureaucratic oversight or potential control by the state of basically not allowing Jews to buy land. We have a super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. Jonathan, what do you... I'll just throw in. So as I said, this is something that's coming mainly from Bezalel Smotrich, since he did get this. It's sort of a new position, as far as I understand, that was created back in 2023, where the defense ministry had the sort of civilian control over the West Bank, and that was sort of given to specifically Bezalel Smotrich. And at least from what I've seen from him, both his acts as finance minister and even as governor of the West Bank, I've been pretty I found it pretty good so far, at least from what I've seen. But Jonathan, what do you make of it as somebody actually living in Israel?
You mean overall assessment of his performance?
Yeah, and then we can go specifically to this action.
Sure. Well, as finance, well, do we call it finance or treasury? I think finance minister.
That's what I usually say it is. Yeah.
Okay, so his finance minister Smotrich has done some good things and also some horrible things. It's important to stress. For example, all sorts of tax raises, new taxes. I haven't prepared material on that, but there are all sorts of new taxes on companies and new ways in which he introduced that the government will be able to take more money from value creating Israelis. So from that sense, it's quite bad. Also, I know specifically the new taxes about gains from from stock market investment, new sort of tax that he added there. I would have prepared a specific number of them, but he has introduced some new taxes on the country, and that's something we're very much against in the Iron Center. I'm sure, I hope at least we all are. So from that perspective, it's quite bad. There's some good liberalization, market liberalization is done. Israel has remnants of the Soviet really the era where, well, not Soviet per se, but socialist era where parts of the economy was managed by councils of each commodity. So, for example, you had the milk council, and council in Russian, as you well know, is a Soviet. So you had the Soviet of milk, the Soviet of bread, and they would determine the prices and the amount of how much you like. This is really communist stuff, and he's starting to crack down on these, and hopefully to dramatically cut down the prices of basic commodities. So that's a good thing he's done. On our subject matter, definitely it's very good. I mean, more settlements that's his whole voter base is coming from the settlements, basically. So from that perspective, he's done good. There's a lot more to be done. We should stress from the outset that this whole idea of these are settlements is nonsense. It should be just Israel, new Israeli towns,
Yes.
as you would have in any country
Yes.
where you build new towns. The whole idea of a Palestinian authority there controlling some parts has been disastrous from Israel. You could even argue that it's the start point for what we are now living through for October 7th and all the other horrors that we've had to endure, unfortunately. Before the time of Oslo, there was much safer in Israel. All data backs this when there was Israeli control over the whole territory. So that's what he's doing, is moving us towards that very slowly, because as you know, it's quite hard in our political environment to get there. But from that perspective, it's good because he's advancing us back to where we were really in the 80s. So that's a very, very good thing, I would say.
Yeah, I have one quote also said that this new arrangement will, quote, allow Jews to purchase land in Judea and Samaria just as they purchase land in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, end of quote. And yeah, the whole idea of, yeah, like you have this separate, sort of the separate Palestinian Authority or the separate West Bank, the Area A, where there is like a separate control. Palestinians have proved again and again that they have no willingness to actually build a state. They have no willingness to actually create something lasting, something that would work with Israel. And yeah, you've said the pre-Oslo days, and yeah, I've researched that sort of that period after 67, where Israel took over the West Bank. And you had straight up like Palestinians, and when I say Palestinians, we mean,
well, they were
like,
not invented then. And,
yeah.
they
It's
had
sort
to
of
be invented.
I'm
yeah.
referring, let's say, Arabs in the West Bank. They were free to travel to Tel Aviv or even from Gaza, right? Like this was like complete, like this was one nation.
And Israelis came to their towns to buy groceries and promote their economy. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't know if we would refer to this as one country, since technically neither Gaza nor the West Bank have like formally been annexed. but they would have been eventually, right? Like it has only been part of Israel for a few decades at the time. By the time the Oslo came, so we didn't have the full time to came in. But this same thing happened to Arabs in Israel proper, right? Yeah, for a few decades, you were basically under some sort of military occupation. You weren't even full citizens, but this wasn't even like that for Arabs in West Bank because they weren't full citizens, of course, yeah, but they were full residents. So they will, and they actually had even sort of greater amount of rights, you could say, because not only they were free to travel all over Israel, they were actually free to travel even to Jordan. The Arabs were free to travel to both of them and to potentially even live in both of them. So I
Very
mean,
true.
it's terrible how this was going well, and then suddenly, and now I think when it comes to Oslo, now we can start speaking of the Palestinians. When it comes to First Intifada, right? Suddenly they said,
Yes.
no, we'd rather try to kill Jews. We'd rather try to, get some sort of state again for no actual benefit, since they could have been full citizens of Israel and would have enjoyed the full recognition of rights, but not full recognition over their right, and I'm using that in quotes, to commit violence against Jews.
Absolutely. I look, if we're talking about Oslo, I can definitely appreciate this is quite a legitimate grievance of the Palestinians. I must say, I may say something shocking here, Dan. But in Oslo Accord, what Israelis did was basically to take a murderer, a criminal, a gang leader called Yasser Arafat from Tunisia, and to bring him into their homes in Judea and Samaria where they lived, right? People of Ramallah, for example. The Israelis let him come from Tunisia and just rule over them. And that's not cool, that you can't just imagine. I come uh, to Bratislava and I say, this is your new ruler, and his name is Vladimir Putin, right? And he would suck. He wouldn't like it. He's not a good leader. He's not like a liberal leader. They didn't want him. They didn't choose him, right? So from that perspective, it's a real crime the Israelis inflicted on themselves first and foremost, because Arafat literally in the car that he came with brought some terrorists with him, and immediately they started killing Jews, and that then the second Intifada started. So Israel should have never done that. It was a crazy thing that the Labour government then did. That was their utopian vision, that they thought if we just bring this killer, he will get rid of the problem of terrorism for us. It will be safer, which was from the first Intifada, it started to be a big issue. So we should have never done that. But we are not to blame. We as the people who are living now in Israel, we should fix that. We need to correct our mistakes and end this thing called Palestinian Authority, and offer the people living in the area an opportunity to start a long process of assimilation, to show that they are accepting the values of Israel, which means equality before the law. It means equal rights for women. It means that you are free. You can't put coercion on other people. You have to understand that these areas now, they're basically ruled by different gangs. They're called a Hamula. Hamula is a gang, an Arab clan, and they rule different parts of the area. It's not that there is even such a coherent entity as the Palestinian Authority. You have the people of Hebron. Do you think the people of Hebron are mixing with the people of Ramallah? Do you think if a woman from Hebron wants to marry a man from Ramallah, she can do that? She will be killed. That's what they do to their own women. So they have to accept the fact that you can't do these things. And then they can assimilate. That is what Israel should offer to them. Avoiding the issue and going around it and trying through these settlements, trying to be smart and showing, look, well, they can stay there, but we will build around them so that they can't have a state. That does not address the issue at the core, and that is a failure of the Israeli right that is refused to state the core. The core issue is not this or that land. It's that is individual rights. Is it legitimate to have an entity that is an hour drive from Tel Aviv, where you can kill your daughters. You don't you if you sell a property to somebody that the state doesn't approve of, you're dead. By the way, they have a death penalty if you sell land to a Jew, for example. It's a real disgusting racist place. That's not legitimate, and we have to demolish that and give these people an opportunity for a better future.
Yeah, and generally, when you look at Palestinians or even people who support Palestinians, you have this incredibly, I mean, collectivistic rhetoric, right? Like one of the things that is now being allowed, have the open land registry, and so allowing Jews to, again, allowing willing Jews to buy land from willing Palestinians who are willing to sell it, right? That's what we are talking about. That what is the reaction from Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority? This is illegal and invalid. He's demanding U.S. and UN intervention to stop this implementation. This is according to Palestinian official Wafa news agency. And Hamas said that Palestinians should start killing Jews. That was pretty much Hamas' reaction. And again, what is that reaction to? To simply allow Palestinians who want to sell their property. This is purely collectivistic. No, all Palestinians should suffer. To some extent, I don't like to give them this easy out. That the fact that they can just sell their land and move somewhere else, maybe even move out of the region and go somewhere else. That in a sense they are getting away with it. They've launched several wars against Israel to try to wipe it out. To some extent, I think this is like an easy way for them to get out. But at the end of the day, I think Israel needs to look at like its own self-interest, and it shouldn't primarily go after some kind of punishment for Palestinians, but simply try to improve the situation or to recognize the rights and protect the rights of their own people. So if this is one of the ways, if this is less painful for Israel, again, which matters, I think this is what matters more. But look at it from the point of view of the people who say they are pro-Palestinian, right? They are only for this like weird Palestinian collective. They don't care about the individual Palestinians. If what it takes to advance the Palestinian collective, if it takes to kill Jews on October 7, or to sacrifice Palestinian babies, or to disallow like free market of labor or free market of property, or anything in that regard, or generally, Palestinians having self-determination, which is ironic, we'll go for that because we have this Palestinian collective that we have to desire.
Yeah, I mean, they are against it because it's for Jews. The Jews benefit. Anything the Jews will benefit. That is, if Jews are freer in Israel to acquire and sustain land, then they should be against it. It's not that it benefits Palestine. They don't think whether or not it benefits Palestinians. It's obviously beyond the equation. It will obviously benefit Palestinians enormously to just, for example, in Gaza, to just lay down your weapons and surrender. Therefore, you would no longer have anybody dead. Why aren't you supporting that if you're pro-Palestinian? That should be the obvious end to all casualties on the Palestinian side. They're not interested in the Palestinians, really. They're interested in the suffering of the Israelis. It's quite sad. The day we would know that there can be real peace between Israel and Palestinians is not only for them to not be upset when there's a new settlement, but to be happy. Because when there's a new settlement, it means more business. It means more customers for their groceries. It means more opportunities to trade. It's a beautiful, positive thing. They should be happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, my sort of favorite example of this was there is a settlement which is like an industrial settlement close to Jerusalem. I'm trying to find out the name of it. Could it be Shar Shomron? Could that be what I'm thinking of? Basically, there was a story of there is like one industrial, like very industrial settlement, like a lot of factories, a lot of business, and it's like close to Jerusalem, so in the West Bank. And the story about that is, of course, since it's there, it's obviously employing a lot of Palestinians because that's that's the people who are close. And it has to be said, oftentimes that's cheaper labor because it's not as educated as the general Israeli public. But again, that's beneficial to, well, again,
Pay much more than they will pay in their own towns.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that's beneficial to individual Palestinians in terms of the ones who want to improve their life. But of course, this Palestinian collective, it's bad for. So what happened with this specific settlement is it got a lot of sanctions from the EU and maybe even from America. I think EU specifically. So what happened? I think specifically this was company, the water company,
SodaStream.
SodaStream, yeah.
Yes.
Which is an Israeli company. I believe this happened to SodaStream, and because of the sanctions, they moved out the factory, meaning about 1,000 Palestinians lost their job. So in efforts, and again, like put it into perspective, right? Because we have this collective Palestinians, which the only way to like fulfill the goal of that is a state, like no other thing, not improvement of their lives, no like recognizing their individual rights under Israeli state. No, simply like Palestinian state for the sake of itself. Doesn't matter if they'll have elections. Doesn't matter if they'll have recognition of individual rights. Nothing. So that's why in this story, that's a good story, right? Because we put on sanctions on Jews, and that's good because Palestinians lost their job. And again, nobody actually brings it up when it comes to dealing. We it's oftentimes talked about like Israeli sanctions, but almost always when sanctions are put on Israel, who suffers the most are oftentimes Palestinians because they are the ones who are losing those jobs. Israel can't just move out the factory from like settlement near Jerusalem to like Tel Aviv. I mean, it will suffer because obviously the movement costs and the fact that if it was put there in the first place, it was probably more beneficial for the company. But at the end of the day, the company might eat the cost, but those Palestinians have lost their job. And just something to say, there are no jobs, or there are very few jobs in Gaza and Area A of the Palestinian Authority because
there are
it's
a lot of acting jobs, I would say.
yeah, but generally, it's not a prosperous economy. They are not doing well, and not just because of Israel.
Yes, they can act as press. That's a very popular job, to be a pretend a journalist.
Or they can go kill Jews, right? They'll get welfare.
It's a better paying job, I suppose, for them. Yes, I mean that's a great example with the SodaStream Dan. But think about after October 7th. I mean before that, you had hundreds of thousands of Palestinians coming into Israel every day for work. They worked in construction, in agriculture, a lot of sectors, or basically the building, the Belzpeak built all construction works were all the Palestinian workers. And now what happened after October 7th? They have already been replaced by Indians, Chinese, people from far, far away. And they now don't have jobs. How well did that work out for them?
But yeah, again, that's not the point, right? It's never about the actual. And I hate to be like acting like I don't care about individual Palestinians. I don't think they deserve any like care from me about like their lives are getting worse. They deserve every single ill that comes to them because of the choices they supported on October 7th, the choices they supported decades before, and the choices they are still supporting. They are still supporting Hamas. Majority of Gazans are still now supporting Hamas. So they'll get like no. I don't want to act as like I'm here to like save Palestinians, to like I want to improve the benefits, the lives of Palestinians. I don't care for them, but it should be Israel first that should be cared about because that's the nation that is actually interested in protecting individual rights, and that is unfortunately also the state that actually. I mean, Israel probably cares more for Palestinians than Hamas like ever did, which again is not a good thing. The Palestinians
more than anybody cares, more than the Palestinians care for themselves. I mean, it's crazy to think about it, but it's true. Israeli soldiers literally gave their lives for the sake of Palestinians to save them. That's quite ironic, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, that's not a good thing. If Israel is fighting, Israel wasn't fighting Hamas. Israel was fighting the Palestinian people. That is what every war is. You are fighting also the civilian population of the enemy side. And I posted a quote recently from the book I'm reading. I'm not sure if I can quickly find it. It's about yeah, I have. It's about Sherman's march through the South. Basically, during the Civil War era, General Sherman went through the civilian sides in the South. He barely fought any battles with the military, but he basically torched every single town he came through. And this was one of the quotes I found from the book. Major Nichols reported, quote, several federal dead and 20 wounded in the depot explosion, which led Sherman to remark that he valued the life of a single soldier more highly than he did the city of Columbia. The city of Columbia was the one particularly hit by his army and basically almost torched to the ground. And that is the attitude you have to have. The fact that, and it's also interesting to read in the book, though the Southern civilians are supporting the efforts of the Confederate Army, are supporting it, and are fighting back against the Union Army. So it is from the backbone. It is always the civilian backbone that is holding up the military. It is Palestine. It's not just Hamas. It wasn't that everything was nice and then Hamas came in and suddenly it was a problem, or even that Arafat came in and suddenly everything was the problem. It was the fact that Palestinians broadly at some point have decided they want to wage a war against Israel, and either they are straight up supporting or they are unwilling to do something about it. But even when you're unwilling to do something about it, when your government is doing something terrible, you'll pay the price for it.
Exactly. This guy is pretty smart, and he says it exactly the way I would have said it if I was that smart.
I know about it. I'm planning to move out as soon as my government starts doing crazy shit. I'm not gonna wait until America or France or whoever or any Western state doesn't have any choice but has to attack Slovakia, right? Because of the bad ways we are going into. I'm not gonna put myself in that equation. I'm gonna be on the whoever other side bombing Slovaks or whatever. I'll be on the victorious side. And that's, I think, is important to practice what you preach. I mean it when I say civilians are responsible for their government. That's why I think whenever you see your government going in a really bad way, meaning actually declaring war on somebody else or starting to do something, you have to get out. And in a sense, there is no other choice. But Jonathan, any thoughts on either earlier the Palestinians or this responsibility when it comes to your government?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a lot of you're right in essence, but it's a complex issue. I think Israel has a lot to do with it. I think Israel should have acted differently. It should act differently every day. And the fact that we are still playing this game of international law, and we want to let them know where we're bombing, and we want to do this slow process of building all these settlements without striking the issue at the core, without telling them, look, guys, your ways of life, your way of life is wrong. We're not doing that. We're not saying to the Gazans, you should stop with your ideology of Palestinianism. It's not a good ideology. You should give it up. You should embrace freedom. We never said that to them. We said it to the Iranians, by the way. So sometimes we can say it, although not very effectively to the Iranians. We shall wait and see. Hopefully there is something coming up there. But we should be prouder of our values, and we should promote them, I think, more aggressively. And I really think there's a chance for peace with Palestinians, as we have now in Israel. There are 2 million Arabs living inside Israel. Vast majority of them, I would say, are law-abiding citizens that accept the values. It's true that they still have tribalistic tendencies in their culture. It's still liberalizing slowly, but I think in next generations, and now you're already seeing fully secular. You're seeing Arab daughters marrying Israeli non-Israelis, marrying Jews inside Israel, both Israelis, and it's a acceptable part of society. So I think that is where I think we would want to move in. And Israel is probably the best example of this actually in the whole Arab world. Better than Europe. I don't think the Arabs in Europe who are immigrants now are marrying as much as they do in Israel. The Arabs marrying Jews. I don't think they do that. The Syrians in Germany, I don't think they are marrying a lot of Germans. Well, that's a different topic then.
Yeah, I mean, something I said or something I've realized when I was in Israel, I cannot tell Jews and Arabs apart. I mean, I'm sorry, you guys look unless we are talking about like Ashkenazis, unless we are talking about white Jews, I cannot tell them apart. So yeah, and even when it comes to like acting, like the way like they generally sort of the attitude they have is like very similar, and it is because at some point it is sort of becoming like a unified culture. It is becoming like integrated, and as you said, Arabs are full citizens. So despite the fact that when it comes to still politically or ideologically, they are still sort of as a broad trend are going in a bit different way and sort of scary and dangerous way potentially. But if Israel actually dealt with its problems, it wouldn't have to deal with this problem. It wouldn't have to deal with the problem of Arabs maybe becoming a bit more friendly with Hamas or becoming more friendly with Palestinian Authority. So yeah, I guess wrapping up this topic, I want only say that this action from the finance minister are great to see, but again are simply sort of like a slow thing of something that one should have never become a problem. Like you should never have had the problem of now we have to like build the settlements around the areas. It should be more open. So I welcome this in some way, sort of like a free market addition. And yeah, thirdly is if Israel simply did what is to counter the problem itself, which is the Palestinian Authority, which is this separate administration, which is still promoting terrorism. If it simply shut it down, I think that would be much better way to dealing with the problem rather than do this like small parts when it like slowly goes towards an annexation. But Jonathan, any last thoughts from you, and where can people find you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's as you said, it's a very positive thing, and I hope to see more of that. I'm a big believer in the look. Have you been to settlements, Dan, when you came to Israel?
Like in the West Bank?
Yes.
No, I don't think I ended up going.
So my father lives in one of the settlements. I've been around, and I can tell you, the people there are wonderful people. You live in beautiful places, high up in the mountains, so friendly, so entrepreneurial, even courageous people. I really love the people, and there's a special vibe. I would love to see more of that. I think it's great. It's beautiful. That's very, very good thing. I want to share. I sent you down a link. I just did a new video on my YouTube channel, if I may promote it. It's very important for nowadays. It's a tier list of the best music you can hear for war. Okay, so next time you guys need to go to the bomb shelter, and wherever you may be, whether or not on the receiving end, on whatever end of the war it is, you should have some good music, okay, to deal with that, because I think that's the best way, really. So check out this video. It's a very good list, the best music for war, on my own channel. That will be also my self-promotion for today. Thank you very much, Dan.
We have a super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. And another super chat from Jonathan. Thank you so much. So you people will be able to find the link Jonathan sent me in the description. I would say I actually did go to kibbutz. I didn't go to settlement, but I did go to a kibbutz near Gaza, actually. So that was an interesting experience.
Next time I'll take you to the proper West Bank tour.
I definitely.
If you're up for it.
Yeah, I'm up. I was planning to go, but I think we just spent too long in Jerusalem and we didn't have time to go. So But actually, my mom is going to Israel. She's religious, so she's gonna go
Really?
to the She's gonna go visit the religious sites. Meaning, she is going to West Bank. She'll probably go to Bethlehem.
Wow.
So she'll actually visit those. I hope. Really hope she will be safe. Just generally, I was for like strong actions from Israel. Maybe if we didn't do anything for
Wait,
decades, maybe we can like chill for like 2 weeks
Okay.
or like a few weeks. So
I'll see what we can do about it then. I'll relay your message.
sounds good. And then afterwards we can go full in. Okay.
Brilliant.
I would be willing to risk my life. Like when I was in Israel, there was the bombing of the
Iran.
airport. So
Wasn't it was it with the Houthis?
yeah, when Houthi shot the rocket
Oh,
and it didn't hit the airport, it hit like field next to the
yes.
airport. But still that happened. So and that happened like pretty close to where I was actually staying. So I heard that pretty big. So I would be okay with Israeli actions while I'm there. But
Did
let's
you have
chill.
any good music when you were in the bomb shelter, or no music?
I didn't have. I mean, it was just one thing, and we immediately went out. So
Well, next
and I
time
was on,
be better prepared.
yeah. Well, now I have this, so people can check out the link. They'll be able to find Jonathan stuff as well as the link to the YouTube video, and they can also find my YouTube channel, Damned Dan. So visit that, and we have the ARC UK book club starting in about hour and a half. So that's for ARC UK YouTube members as well as website members. And tomorrow we have the Q&A with James Valiant on the Minnesota ice shootings. So that's again for YouTube members and website members. So check that out as well. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining me today. Thank you everybody for watching, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. So that's not it, folks. I'm going to leave the last word to the women. That's what I'm going to do, because these 4 women, they're called the Quad, and they're going to be talking about the Iranian situation, I believe. But I'll tell you something. If it were mandatory for men to have 4 wives, if legislation was passed and it was absolutely mandatory for men to have 4 wives, I would pick these 4 for my wives. Where are they? There you go. Well, there's one. So this is from JNS TV, which again, I highly recommend that you give them a subscribe.
I don't understand. Like a month ago, we encouraged people in Iran to go outside to fight for themselves against the regime that you're trying to negotiate with
and save. Like, what do you mean Iran wants to make a deal? On behalf of who? The 40,000 people that they just executed in the streets?
Yeah.
The people of Iran are begging Trump not to negotiate.
You have somebody who has their whole life ahead of them that's exhausted. For them, taking their life was literally freeing themselves.
Yeah.
And the message is to you, hey, we're waiting.
Whoa, coming up.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Quad here from our Jerusalem studios with my wonderful co-host, Sagan Fakheri, who is the head of the Persian press desk at the JCFA and an analyst on Iran. Welcome back, Sagan.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here again.
Well, we're always happy to have you back, especially because every week we seem to be discussing Iran. Will he? Won't he? What's going to happen? Whilst we all hold our breaths, also the Iranian diaspora, also people here at Israel, what will happen? What do the Iranians have to say about these new negotiations? Take a look.
When we talk about the nuclear program only, we put that into consideration. Regarding the zero uranium enrichment, it's outside the talks, outside negotiations. The enrichment is our own right, and it will continue. And even if when they attacked us, they couldn't destroy this enrichment, because they cannot destroy it through attacking and bombardment. The other hand, regarding the missiles is something that is defensive. We cannot talk about defensive matters, not now and not in the future.
So what exactly can we talk about? We can't talk about enrichment. They can continue enriching. Okay. We can't talk about ballistic missiles because it's their right. So what on earth is going on in the negotiations? What are the American red lines, and do they align with our red lines? Sagan, you are the expert here, apart from Emily, of course. What is your view on what's going on right now with these negotiations?
Okay, so one thing we know and understand about how the Islamic regime works is that they are the masters of propaganda.
Yeah.
They will go outside, they will come to the UN, they will come to negotiations, suited up, real like nice and like, we're ready to talk, we're gonna like have this like communication with the West.
Diplomatic reason.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you see like in Tehran, you see like in the plaza, in the like the square, you see them keeping like this war and threatening Israel and threatening like, what do you care? Like, you have negotiations with America. Well, like every time Israel is like the place they want like to put attention on. And it's always like, no, they didn't destroy anything, and we're so strong, and we're this and we're that, and like
they try
wake up.
They try
like,
to spin it.
Your people, like the people in Iran, are refusing to acknowledging the fact that the West is gonna like come to an arrangement with and I'm like, so I don't understand it, and it's all propaganda, and nobody actually knows what's going to happen after that. If they're going to come to a conclusion, if there's going to be a peace, like ceasefire or anything in that matter, or we should wait and just have a look on the situation of the citizens, because I don't understand. Like a month ago, we encouraged people in Iran to go outside to fight for themselves against the regime that you're trying to like negotiate with
and save, essentially. Let me ask you one question, because I've read this, I've seen it, and I want to know if it's true. Is it true that there's cracks at the moment in the IRGC, that people are defecting, that people are leaving? Do you think that's true, or is it just wishful thinking on our part?
No, I think it's happening. Maybe we don't talk about it that much, and maybe the regime is trying like to silence it out, and for sure they're trying to. But we have a diplomat that says, I'm not working with them anymore, and he asked for shelter in Switzerland. So I'm like, so there's so many things happening. I'm like, and people are fleeing Iran and trying to move assets and like money and everything to other parts of the world and try to save themselves. I think there's this paranoia that is very justified.
For the regime.
Yeah, for the regime people, by like they are afraid that the West is gonna like come in and like the regime is gonna fall. I think that what I said, propaganda, is like they show something outside, and inside I think like it's getting really crumbled. And
I hope so. Emily, last night there's reports that there were more demonstrations, when the last few days there's been kind of a resurgence, maybe again. Maybe that's just us. Do you think that Trump's tactic at the moment is waiting to push people to do more, to have more defections, to get the Iranian people to do the work that he doesn't want to do because he doesn't want troops on the ground, or to show them that they've got something to replace their regime with? I think what I keep hearing from the people that I know in the White House is, well, he doesn't think that they can be replaced smoothly. It's not going to be an easy thing. And so do you think that Trump's game is, let's just wait and wait, because he talks about waiting. Let's see how much more of the dirty work the Iranian people can do against their own regime, and then we'll come in at the end to kind of finish the job?
I don't think that has anything to do with it, actually. I think that Trump is in his own world where he wants to make a deal and be able to say that he made a deal, or it could be that the whole thing is posturing, the same way that we saw before the 12th Day War in June. We saw very similar behavior. We see more and more and more assets being moved to the Middle East every single day from the United States. So there's by no means is a strike off the table. I don't think that Trump wants or expects the Iranian people to do more. And if he did, then he's seriously delusional, because, I mean, having 20, 30, 40,000 people be massacred by their own regime in the span of a few days immediately after the president of the United States send a message saying help is on its way.
Yeah.
Like, you've done enough, and not in a good way, not yet, at least. I hope that he does. I hope that he moves forward with something for the sake of the Iranian people. But I mean, what we've seen already is catastrophic. And you're exactly right about the propaganda. I mean, if there's one war they know how to win, it's the war of narratives, despite the fact that it could be completely false. But they're good at painting those narratives in the West. The funny part is that the Iranians don't believe it.
They don't buy it.
But in the West, people keep believing it because to most of us in the West, it sounds very conspiratorial. But that's the reality of this regime. I mean, we're talking about a regime that blew up a Cinema Rex, that shot down a commercial airliner, PS-752, all in order to frame someone else unsuccessfully. So this is what they do, you know? We can't expect that to change. And that's part of the reason I don't think we can see any kind of actual reform. It has to actually be regime change.
No, a scorpion will always be a scorpion. And that's what I think people don't seem to understand. It's like Hamas. What are you going to do? They're going to disarm. Really? It's their whole raison d'etre. That's why they exist. It's the same with this regime. But meanwhile, Trump is telling the world that they have all the time to negotiate. Watch this.
A deal doesn't look like it's been reached yet. How long are you willing to wait?
A deal can be reached. Well, you have to get in position. We have plenty of time. If you remember Venezuela, we waited around for a while, and we're in no rush. We have,
but Venezuela wasn't massacring their citizens by the tens of thousands. Donny boy.
Very good talks going with Iran. We have very good talks going with Russia and Ukraine. We're doing a lot of good talking, and I think we had the results today were
Trump talks, innocent Iranian civilians die.
With Iran. It was a meeting. We're going to meet again early next week, and they want to make a deal. Iran, as they should, want to make a deal. They know the consequences.
Bullshit, they want to make a deal. You know they don't want to make a deal. Donny boy.
If they don't.
I mean, no nuclear weapons. Yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah. Forget
Donald Trump's a real disappointment sometimes, isn't he?
the ballistic missiles that could destroy a country. And meanwhile,
I'm sorry, I just have to say, even negotiating with this regime, and he keeps referring, Iran wants this, Iran wants that. First of all, they're not the legitimate representation of Iranians. They're not. It's an illegitimate regime.
Yeah.
So,
like Maduro.
Personally, I'm biased, but personally, I have a problem with him even saying Iran because they don't speak for the Iranian people. Like, what do you mean Iran wants to make a deal? On behalf of who? The 40,000 people that they just executed in the streets?
Exactly.
Like, even the message of negotiations is an immoral message at this time. Like, I don't understand what he thinks he's doing when Iran, when the Islamic Republic has been very clear.
The only thing I can think of is that he's waiting, he's biding time to get everything here.
He said get into position.
The region. But meanwhile, like you said, Sugan, the people of Iran are begging Trump not to negotiate. Watch this.
If you're watching this, then I'm not around anymore. If you don't know, I'm from Iran. And a massacre happened in the past few weeks by our government, which is more like a bandit group. More than 40,000 people died, killed, massacred. I want to make this video to send a message to America and to the West in general. Tomorrow, on Friday, President Trump is going to make a deal with this regime. I mean, he told us to keep protesting, and we did it. We trust him. To make a deal with this regime is to betray all those people who died.
Exactly. It's just heartbreaking. Bellamy, is the West not getting it? Or does Trump playing a game? What do you think?
I genuinely don't think the West is getting it. And we've seen a lot of dead bodies in the past few months from what people have been posting. But this video has been haunting me.
Why?
And specifically, his messaging went to a point about he was done. It was enough.
Did he commit?
Yes, gone through.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
Stop.
Shortly after.
So this was literally his call out to say, like, I'm leaving. but you need to do something. You told the people to go out onto the streets. They did. They opened the door to what you should be doing right now. And the fact that it's not just Trump, it's not just an administration, it's the people in the West that are so silent about what's actually going on. For 2 years and over 2 years, all we have heard about are children in Gaza, and we are committing a genocide and we're doing this. But when you actually have an actual genocide that's currently going on, that has been going on for 47 years against their own people, behind a curtain, behind a wall, and you have somebody who has their whole life ahead of them that's exhausted, that's done enough, that for them taking their life was literally freeing themselves. And the message is to you, hey, we're waiting.
Yeah.
He wasn't waiting anymore.
It's tragic. I can't, and it's all, the thing is that it's the young people of Iran.
Yep.
They're the ones who are on the front lines of this war, and they're the ones that people in the West are ignoring because the enemy is the wrong enemy for the sensibilities and the paradigm that the young people around the world have made for themselves, the lie and the zombie ideology that they live in. It's just, it's just, it's almost like, we had this Gaza war, we had these 2 years, and now God knows how long this is going to last. It's like a tale of two wars, and nobody's connecting the dots of these two wars who have the same enemy, because, of course, it's the wrong enemy for these zombies in the West. Before we jump in, a quick invitation. The 2026 JNS International Policy Summit is coming up as Human Shield. And I really hope you'll join us too. You can visit jns-summit.org to register and to see the speaker lineup. It's an exceptional group this year. I look forward to meeting you in Jerusalem this April.
Yes.
And on that note, we can talk about phase 2 in Gaza, which again, people are completely blind about the fact that Hamas, the terror organization that uses its own children as human shields, is not disarming. And yet we're being pushed into the second phase. And God knows what's going to happen. The Board of Peace, I think, convened this week or a couple of days ago.
Yeah. I don't know the exact date. Yeah.
Peace.
We don't know who's on it. We don't know what's on it. We don't know what their agenda is. And it started, I think.
Just the way that everybody's ignoring the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic when he's saying, we're not going to give up uranium, and we're not going to give up this, and we're not going to give up that. In other words, we have nothing to negotiate. Listen to Khaled Mashal about the resistance.
هذا ينبغي ألا نقبله، لأنه هذا إذا أعد السؤال الكبير عن أصل الصراع وأنه قضية احتلال وشعب يقاوم الاحتلال ومن حقه تقرير المصير والاستقلال، عند ذلك سؤال المقاومة يصبح طبيعيا، وسؤال سلاح المقاومة يصبح طبيعيا. إنه هذا فلسفة المقاومة. نحن طالما هناك احتلال هناك مقاومة. المقاومة حق للشعوب تحت الاحتلال، هي جزء من القانون الدولي والشرائع السماوية.
You love his eyeliner.
Okay, first of all, shocker. He's in that disgusting Al Jazeera forum. Where was it? In Doha, of course. Of course. Where else is going to be in the Viper's Den? He's basically completely unrepentant. He's the only one left, really, with a name recognition.
Yeah. Why is he even breathing?
Why is he there? I mean, this guy is a mass murderer.
And a billionaire.
And a billionaire. That's why he's living in a 7-star hotel in Doha. And there he is, whilst Hamas, who apparently have still got a very strong foothold in Gaza, unfortunately, are using ambulances to smuggle weapons. So, I mean, look, we've been here before, right? This is not new. They've used ambulances before. They've used medics before. I love it when all these idiots on X are like, they've killed 400 doctors, all terrorists. They've killed 300 journalists, all terrorists. You know, what else? Anything else? Actors and dancers and violinists,
they're all.
Well, most of them were actors. When you act as a journalist, you're an actor. It's a really good one, let me tell you that.
You should know, Zoran.
Listen.
So I forgot to say, Zoran is star of the Tehran series. Watch her there.
Yeah. So as someone who, because of my job, like in Tehran, I was like really trying to understand how Islam works. And it works like this, that you can say anything you want. You can have any mask on just to keep the ideology of Islam going.
Takia, they call it, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is like, they don't care. It could be a hospital, it could be an ambulance, and you don't see it only in Gaza. And I'm sorry for taking it back to Iran, but
no, you're right.
Like it happened in Gaza like a year ago, let's say. In Iran, it happened like a week ago.
What happened?
That they entered hospitals, shooting people in their beds and killing them.
They also were documented using ambulances, unmarked ambulances to
the ambulance, like
protest.
The Basij are hiding inside the ambulances.
Same
and it's
playbook.
like it's crazy, and it's the same thing. And the people who don't see that this person is calling for a weaponized resistance. I mean, okay, tomorrow, let me tell you that in the future, if you're letting like this happen and people are supporting this, tomorrow it will happen in New York.
Exactly.
It will happen in New York.
It's guerrilla tactics 101, of which so many people know absolutely nothing about. But when you also I come from a country that was trained to do things like that by the exact same people that live off of that ideology. So to me, when I speak to a Westerner and they're like, there's no such thing as tequila. What do you mean? They're like, I'm going, what are you talking about? You're too busy watching Real Housewives of something and you think that's more entertaining and that's more educational brain rot than to actually listen to people that are telling you that there's something that is very off that's going on. It's not a conspiracy. People are literally in sleeper cells, even in the West, and they have no clue who's around them. But no, it's Islamophobia. No.
Yeah.
But I noticed that the way that I mean, obviously it was in Arabic, but the way that he described about resistance is something that we've heard a lot of in the past couple of years, even before that, but especially in the last couple of years, this concept that you have a right to resistance when you're an occupied people. There is no basis in any international law for this argument. You are never permitted under any circumstances to attack or kill civilians because you are occupied. That doesn't exist. It's a fantastical notion that keeps getting repeated by people like Francesca Albanese and people like Khaled Mashal, incidentally, both of them at the same conference, Al Jazeera. And it's not true. It's simply not true. There is no right. That's not how international law works, even if you're occupied, and even if that occupation is illegal, which, by the way, this isn't, I would argue, but there is a debate over, whether an occupation is illegal or legal, also in this conflict. But the idea that gives...
In my view, Israel absolutely 100% owns Judea and Samaria. Absolutely 100%. In fact, I even have I thought I had a ticker or something for it. Guess not.
Give someone a right to violence is insane. Otherwise, you would see people in Cyprus blowing people up all the time. That's not how it works.
But that's what Bellamy said. What message are you now giving to the world, to terrorists all around the world, when you say, look, you can start a war, you can massacre, you can rape, you can kill, you can kidnap. And then at the end of it, the person who started it, who obviously lost the war, can still rearm or can still keep their arms. Like you say, Sogan, what is the message that you're giving? And Emily, you forgot one thing. You're never illegal on stolen land. Like Billie Eilish, Billie Chachmalog, as we say in Hebrew, she's such an intelligent woman that she made that really bold statement at the Grammys that now the tribe of the place in Malibu where she owns her $14 million house are claiming it back. Yeah. You idiot. You idiot. I can't with these people.
It's the same thing because it's constant virtue signaling. Because I remember a few years back when, everybody, especially during COVID, this was when people are on Skid Row, hungry, not like people aren't in mental hospitals and institutions and being taken care of because they were using those for undocumented, I'm supposed to say, you're an illegal alien. you're and I can say that.
Well, you can say, listen, you went through the whole process.
I went through the whole process
of being a legal
Yes.
immigrant of the United States.
from student visa to work visa to EB1 green card to citizenship naturalized. And what upsets me more than anything else is the fact that since I was 17 years old when I landed in the US, I'm a guest. Until I swear and take my oath, I'm a guest. And I also pay taxes. So quite frankly, I don't care for somebody to be kept in a mental institution. And then you have these celebrities going, but we should just open the doors. And then what did they do years ago? They put them in buses and sent them to Martha's Vineyard. Apparently, you can welcome everybody. Open your door, just not mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
NIMBY, as we say, not in my backyard. And that is the hypocrisy of the progressives. And I just had to get that Billie Eilish thing on because I just love
Listen, I love her.
So
I love
no,
Billie.
that
When I was young,
Of course.
she was amazing. She was so bold. She was like going against everything in the industry.
Yes, the
It was
patriarchy.
so good
And
until like, bro, you were homeschooled, and I'm pro homeschooling when it's matching you.
until you
But
have your own
probably
children.
you didn't learn history or anything else. And let me tell you that one thing. And I'm not like, I grew up in a Muslim state. Iran is like the Islamic state and country, and people are sick of it, okay? But let me tell you, I'm into any religion as long as you're good, as long as you don't like interfere in my life. But let me tell you, Muhammad, when he did the hijrah, when he moved from Mecca to Medina, he killed anyone who wasn't going to believe in whatever he believed.
Especially the Jews, who wouldn't accept.
The tribes there.
He wouldn't accept the words, and that
So-
got murdered and massacred.
Yeah,
But this is Mamdani's argument for anti-ICE executive orders.
yeah,
All of
but he didn't.
See,
Yeah,
What is it?
that's what he said in his press conference. He literally said
that he was an immigrant. He was an immigrant.
that his reason for this was because in Islam, the story of Muhammad teaches
Yes.
us about the hijrah, and the hijrah was to welcome the stranger.
Yes,
Exactly.
except that you got massacred.
About that.
With the sword, they massacred so many.
Yeah.
And Mandani is the same type of new age moron, whatever you call it, as Billie Eilish, but even worse because he knows exactly what he's doing. And meanwhile, 15 people got frozen to death on the streets of New York because as mayor, you have one job: to keep your people safe. And you were too busy meddling in international politics that you know nothing about or have absolutely no legitimacy to talk about. And you let your own people die during a storm, one of the worst storms that happened to New York. So that's that. Okay, moving on to our very favorite segment, Scumbag of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
We have so many scumbags, so little time. Bellamy, which one is yours this week?
Mine is not just the African National Congress, not just the government that is South Africa, but specifically Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga, who spoke at the 47th commemoration of the IRGC in South Africa.
Oh, they had a party?
Yes,
The
on
IRGC?
February 6th at the Menlyn Hotel in Pretoria. And funny enough, it's always in Pretoria, the same place where during apartheid, they would take you as a political prisoner and throw you off the roof.
Oh,
So funny how that goes, because I think we have a neighbor that loves to throw people off the roof, but it's so disgusting when I say to people constantly, you don't understand what a massive red flag South Africa is. No, well, what did they do? But there's Nelson Mandela, but you should feel it in a different way. Yes, but I grew up in something that I don't understand how I ran away from it. I think there's something wrong with me because I should be chanting in the street that I'm not free until Palestine is free. And I quite frankly should be agreeing with the regime. What's wrong with me?
there's a lot wrong with you. I mean,
Just not that.
apparently. You stepped out of the line of your South Africa education and became a Jew.
Yeah.
I mean, just for that, you should be
This should be stoned to death.
exactly. Anyway,
I find it repulsive as well that there are children that are in the streets believing the same kind of indoctrination at the southern tip of a continent that has nothing to do with the Middle East.
exactly. Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh dear. Well, so many. I love you're bringing in the South African angle, and it's important because they're such enablers legally and in so many other forums, and they've become really the capital of these evil bastards. That's what's happened to South Africa.
Right.
Emily, who's your scumbag this week?
Well, my scumbag, I was going to do the whole Al Jazeera forum, but I guess I'll hone in on one person specifically.
It's always
hard because there were so many scumbags.
Story of one.
Al Jazeera itself is a scumbag.
Yes.
I mean, how can I choose?
Yes.
But anyway, this week was the Al Jazeera media conference held in Doha, and we saw, as I mentioned earlier, Francesca Albanese and also Khaled Mashal and also Aragchi, the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic. So it's just a whole group of winners. I think we have a clip of Francesca, if we can play that.
Instead of stopping Israel, most of the world has armed, given it political excuses, political sheltering, economic and financial support. We now see that we as a humanity have a common enemy.
We have a common enemy. I wonder who she's referring to when she talks about a common enemy the same way Adolf Hitler did. But that's kind of to be expected from Francesca Albanese because that's how she talks. That's what she's done. That's her track record, and that's what she truly believes. We saw just not too long ago, she was retweeting people saying that Jews were evil incarnate.
Yes.
Israel. Israel is evil incarnate, not Jews, right? Anyway, that's Francesca. You're my scumbag of the week. Many other weeks as well, but this week in particular, you deserve it.
She joined the flotilla.
She should.
Probably will.
And we could sync it. That would be a savor to the world. Like super crazy.
Nazi rhetoric.
Nazi rhetoric. Well, you know, maybe her grandfather was Mussolini. I'm beginning to think.
I mean, she sounds like it.
She really does. And look how he ended up, naked on the streets of Italy, being dragged and everybody shouting shame. So we can only dream. Okay. Sogan, who is
I was
your...
waiting for that.
Yeah.
Listen, last time I enjoyed it so much. I was like going directly to Khamenei, but okay. This time my scumbag has a chance to redeem themselves.
Really?
That's like I'm so
redeemable scumbag.
Yeah, I'm into like forgiving people, some people. So exactly 1 month ago, today is February 9th. January 9th, the people of Iran were outside in the streets fighting for future.
Yeah.
The US said they're gonna come, okay, whatever. But okay, let's say they're coming. Who should protect the people inside Iran? The Artesh. The Artesh is the National Army of Iran.
Artesh?
Artesh.
We don't hear that enough.
We don't hear that because Iran has 2 guards. Like they have the IRGC
that protects the regime.
Yeah, no, but it's like it functions as an army.
Okay.
They have everything: Air Force, Navy, like everything like you have, and the Quds and the Basij. We all know about that.
Yeah.
And we have Artesh, which also has like the commando forces, the Navy, the Air Force, and their responsibility is to stand with the people of Iran. When your brothers and sisters, your families are getting massacred in the streets, you are not like under Khamenei. You're with the people. You're with the people. You should defend your people and go and fight with them. And your guns should point the regime and the Basij and the whatever like oppressing forces they used, and not towards people. And let me just, I don't know if you watched it, but like previous days, like just a few days before the protests, you saw people of the Artesh holding like signs, like lighting up Khamenei's picture. So where are you? And I know like some of them wanted, like they didn't want to cooperate with like the oppressing corpse, but like, where are you? Like, you're so many people.
So are they armed? Are they resourced?
Yes.
Are
They're functioning.
So what
army.
you say is they are scared, I assume, of the IRGC.
Listen,
it's like you know what it's like, the Lebanese army and Hezbollah. Like you never know where one ends and the other one begins. Is it like that with the Artesh?
No.
They're a separate force.
2 separate like
okay.
Organizations.
So you're like, where the hell are they?
Where are you?
That's a good point.
I just want to say, you have like maybe you don't have the trust of the people anymore, but you can gain it back. You can win the trust again. Just stand with the people and defend them when they're trying to protest and fight for their lives and for your lives.
Exactly.
Because you are the trash of the armies in Iran. So,
oh my God, some shade on the Artesh. Well, first of all, thank you for educating us. I did not understand that there was a separate kind of people's army that is absolutely not doing much.
Yeah.
I understood that many people were defecting.
It's the national, but
Yeah. But I also didn't understand also what powers they have as opposed to the IRGC. I didn't realize it was a separate kind of jurisdiction.
Well, the IRGC also, that's why it's not the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, it's the Islamic Revolutionary
So
Guard.
they're fighting for Islam.
Exactly.
Jihad, fundamentalism. And the People's Army are doing nothing because they're probably scared.
By the way, this is another reason why IRGC designation is not a problem. For so many years, they've used this as an excuse, claiming, oh, well, we don't know because it's a national army and it's a state actor. Yes, you do. It's totally fine. And as it is, terror designation exempts people who are mandatory, like if they're drafted, which sometimes people are drafted into the IRGC. So it's already exempted. All the excuses for the lack of designation.
Well,
nonsense.
That segues beautifully into my scumbag of the week, which is the EU, but not for the reasons you might think. But let's just say that better late than never. I think it was a week, 2 weeks ago, they finally prescribed the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Like, little late to the party, but better late than never. Okay. But the reason they are my scumbag this week is because Scott Bessent, for those of you who don't know, is the Treasury Secretary of the US, okay? He's basically the guy in charge of money. He's brilliant, actually, if you get a chance to look him up. He's so morally clear, so smart. He doesn't get emotional about anything, and people say such idiotic things at him, and he just like breaks down the arguments one by one. And he's doing a great job as a Treasury Secretary of the United States. But this week, he actually made quite an explosive claim that makes the EU my scumbag. And basically, he uncovered that the EU has been buying refined oil from India that Russia is selling to India. So hold on with me here. The EU have sanctioned Russia because of its aggressive war against Ukraine. The EU pretends it's on the side of Ukraine. Let's get more money to help the people of Ukraine who've been attacked by big, bad Russia. And at the same time, because they're worried about their energy resources, they have been buying sanctioned oil from Russia, but through India. So I guess it makes it okay. And so what Scott Bessent is saying is that Europe, the EU, is funding the war against itself because the EU is standing and helping and financing Ukraine, and yet they're also financing the other side. And that's how morally bankrupt they are, which we knew because of the way that they've been treating us over many years. It's a shame because we are an important trade partner. Israel and the EU are important trade partners. But when it comes to moral clarity or reasoning, I don't know what's happened to the EU, but I really applaud Scott Bessent for basically opening our eyes to what's really going on in the Ukraine-Russia war. And that is that essentially both sides are financing both sides of this war, which means that ending this, and maybe Trump, who people don't give him enough credit for the trade tariffs that he's putting, maybe there is a logic to the things that he's doing in terms of tariffs. But yes, the EU, for this very reason, you are my scumbag this week. Okay.
You know, they could avoid all that together if they just supported regime change in Iran and built a new Iran where they could have a better energy deal. Absolutely. And then they don't have to work with Russia anymore. But that would be like logical.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. We'll have to see.
We'll
have to see. I mean, go that direction.
The thing about Iran is that with all of its incredible resources in crude oil, they don't really have refining capabilities. The EU could be that refining capability arm. And like you say, and not have to deal with other despots in Europe.
It would be a big middle finger to China and Russia both, which is both things I love.
Why don't you just let the Quad women run the world? Yes. And I could put my hand on fire that the result would be better. Just saying.
I'm with that.
Just saying. Okay. And on that note, heroes of the week. Sagan, let's start with your hero.
Okay. So as we talked, the internet came back in Iran and We have seen like so many videos in the media, like it never ends, like so many evidence. Like this guy is Hamid Mahdavi, and he was a firefighter, and he was protesting during the protests, and he saw this man injured. I couldn't find his name. He came back, got him like on his back, tried to save him. He managed to save him, but he got shot.
Oh,
and he got killed.
God.
No.
And
he got shot the moment that he was saving this other person.
maybe after like after this video or
Right.
something. Yeah.
Oh.
So the thing is that I found his Instagram, and I just want to read you his bio because it was like such a great bio. He made me cry actually. So his bio actually says being a firefighter is not just putting down fires. It's like having your family calm down, like trying to be a family man, trying to be like a good person, stuff, like saying like all the things. And then he said, but you don't have like time for yourself. And this is an example of a person who put everything at risk, his family, his life, and he saved the person trying to save his nation. And it's just one example of who are the Iranian people. And this is a great video, a great example. And as we see videos of Basij guys who get like attacked by the protesters, they run away. They don't care about their team fellows or the crew or team or whatever. But those people who don't know each other, they have each other's backs. And it's one of the most like moving, touching videos I've seen. And it's just
so sad.
Just
because they're standing for freedom, and these people are standing to what? To keep a murderous regime in place? They should all run away like rats. Well, that is a wonderful, wonderful hero. It's a hero that gave up his life to save other people. Well,
let's not forget that.
Yes, let's never forget that, and we will keep talking about that here. Emily, who's your hero this week?
So my hero is the direct response to a prior scumbag, a repeat offender. Tucker Carlson.
Repeat offender.
So this week we saw that Tucker Carlson had a whole special about how awful it is for Christians in Israel, which is of course ridiculous because this is the one country in the Middle East where the Christian population is actually growing, the one where they're actually protected and their rights to practice their religion are not only protected under law, but defended as well in practice. So it's ridiculous to be singling out persecution of Christians in Israel in the first place. But Tucker Carlson has an agenda, obviously. And so that brings us to my hero this week, which is the U.S. Ambassador, Mike Huckabee. He's done a lot of great things. I'm a big fan, but he called out Tucker Carlson very forcefully on social media and invited him to speak with Ambassador Huckabee himself directly about the status of Christians in Israel. As we know, Ambassador Huckabee is a big Christian Zionist, but Christian as well. And he is going to be speaking to Tucker Carlson, allegedly, about the situation of Christians in the Middle East. We'll see if Tucker actually moves forward with that interview. I hope he does, because I'm sure that Huckabee will really give it to him. But yes, Ambassador Huckabee, you're my hero this week for calling him out on this and for being the person to be willing to sit face to face and debunk this absolute nonsense that we keep hearing from Tucker Carlson. Or should I say Tucker Carlson?
Carlson. It's so true. He's such a great guy. He lives in Jerusalem, of course, because since the embassy moved in, he comes everywhere. I see him everywhere. He's part of life here.
Yeah.
And he's just so morally clear. And just to follow up on your point, and I'm sure that Huckabee is going to do a fantastic job against. I can't wait to see that, by the way. I mean,
one episode I'll watch.
Yes, I want to make T-shirts and do like a, how do they call it, a showing?
Watch party.
A launch party. Yeah, I'm going to do a launch party at my house. But just to refine your point, we had here the apostate prophet, and when we were talking about this subject, he said, you know, there's a list of in the world where Christians are persecuted. Of course, we're not even on the list.
Yeah.
Why would we be? You thrive here as a Christian. North Korea, Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Eritrea, Nigeria, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Sudan, India. No Israel. And so, yes, that hypocrisy of Tucker Carlson. I would have made him my scumbag, but I'm tired of giving this hater more attention because
mentioned the board of peace.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I was looking at Bellamy. I was like, yeah, right there.
no, Bellamy, you're right. Okay, who's your hero, dear?
For somebody that's so sick and tired of virtue signaling in Hollywood, my hero this week is Gessa Feldstein, whose real name is Mike Levy, and he got a Grammy. And this is actually how you should receive an award because you're an artist.
Shut up.
And he DJs around the world, and he's also a very well-known producer. He produced Lady Gaga's Abracadabra.
Yeah.
So that for me was a great way to send a very clear message. But knowing who Hollywood is, everybody kept saying it's National Black History Month. Well, he's in blackface? No, he's not in blackface. What did you call Sia? Hairface? It's then that's going back and forth. He's literally just wearing a mask because his job is to produce music. So you gave him an award. He didn't say anything. He received it and he left. And there's a problem with that, apparently.
Of course, there's a problem with that because he didn't say something completely moronic about a conflict they know nothing about. Well, I'd never heard of him, but now I will certainly look him up, and I'm very curious to know what he actually looks like. Okay, my heroes this week are the Israeli bobsled team at the Winter Olympics who call themselves Shul Runnings. For those of you who haven't seen, just watch this.
Honey, prophets, kings, ancient olive trees, and psalms the cantor sings. Home of David, Moses, desert sand. No bobsled run from Haifa to the Dan. We cross the Red Sea, beat Pharaoh's banner, lives a license, no. Yes, we can. Show runnings, we're flying down the track. Whoa. Show runnings, ain't no holding us back. Whoa. Tel Aviv to Milano, ice beneath the sled. Pray a little faster, full speed ahead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go. Yeah.
So I have to say the head of this team, the captain, is a really lovely guy called AJ Edelman, who I met a number of years ago. And a number of years ago, he had this vision. He got no support from Israel, from the Culture and Sports Ministry, no funding. He went, they thought he was nuts. It's like that movie Cool Runnings. They thought he was nuts, like Israeli bobsled team. He went, he had this vision. He recruited an incredible group of athletes, including a Druze athlete, I think one of the first to go to
the first Olympian.
The first Druze Olympian coming from Israel. Look how proud we have to be. And he set up this whole team. He raised the money himself. He slept on people's couches for years because he had this dream of creating this team. When I met him, it was way before October 7th. I thought, this guy's crazy, but he could actually, the crazy could really win. And I'm just so proud to see them there. And they've been through so much adversity. They were booed on the day that they came out. Then their hotel room was burgled. They stole all their things, their money, their passports, and equipment. They came up with the coolest bobsled. He must have gotten some really cool artists to do this. And we, the whole country, and I think the whole Jewish world, is really behind the Israeli bobsled team led by my friend AJ Edelman, a true visionary. And I really can't wait to see them winning. So they are my heroes this week. And this is how we do offense. Defense is crying about people attacking us. Offense is saying, you know what, you're going to boo us, you're going to steal from us. You know what our response is? We're going to win. That is what we need all to be doing, and not, leaning into like, oh, poor us, feel sorry for us. And on that note, I say goodbye with my friends here until another week. And we pray for the liberation of the people of Iran. We pray for regional peace, whatever that means. We pray for quiet. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Wow. That was great. I like that. I like the quote. I'm going to be featuring them a lot more often. But folks, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Hopefully very soon. And stay notified.